Welcome to Color Me Happy. My name is Brandy Hofer. I'm your host. Thank you so much for being here. I sure do appreciate your time today. So the hilarious thing about this is I pulled it out of my Meet Record archives. I forgot about it. So it's like a step back in time, which is actually very cool. And I'm enjoying going through and editing. And I'll tell you why it was lost, because it had so much editing that I had to cut out because it was 2 hours long that, of course, I avoided it and then eventually forgot. So there's your lesson today in life. Do things when they're in the front of your mind, because you just won't. And I mean, if you are where my guest, who I'm going to announce, my mystery guest, if you're in the stage of life where my guest and myself are, so this is your clue. They have 3 kids, just like me. They are my age. And they also have a podcast. You might, if you're local, you definitely know already. If you're not, if you're a creative, Color Me Happy follower and you're like, oh, I don't know. You will love this because it's just like an insight into what it takes to be creative and take that leap. And what I mean is that leap past, over the edge. You're kind of like wandering on the top of a fence and you're teetering over each side, wondering which yard to jump into. And since this podcast recording, funny enough, my guest, he has gone and leapt in to the other side and then dove into the backyard pool, basically. So I am so proud of him because it takes a lot. And if you're listening and if you run your own business or are self-employed in any way, or are doing it on the side, your creative hustle, and I call it a hustle because you are hustling hard. Someone called me a hustler, and then I was like, I'm not sure if I like that. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to embrace it. I am a hustler. I hustle my butt off, and I do a great job. And I'm sure you do too, because you're your own best advocate. The only person who can do this is you. The only person who can take you further is you. No one's going to advocate for how you feel and what your passion is in this life better than you do, right? Well, you might find someone really good at marketing. I'm going off topic, but no one can do this. It's your thing. It's your spiel. You do you. Okay, so the reason why this episode had so much editing is because this person is my longtime friend since high school, and there were so many inside jokes that at one point I'm like, everyone's dropped off here. So I had to edit some parts out, which sucks because if you did know us in high school, there were some nostalgic elements. So maybe I'll release a full unedited version. If you attended high school with myself and this person, then actually, if you're listening, you already know because you saw the title. It's Shaun. SNP, Shaun Newman Podcast, has done quite some extraordinary things, actually. I'll just message me and I'll let you in on the secret, all unedited version. We talked about the Europe trip. We did it. And what went on the Europe trip. It was just like the movie, basically, but worse, with police. And actually, I don't remember that movie. I think there was police in that movie too. Anyway, the police visited. So what is so great about Shaun, and he actually in this episode, and I'll let you listen soon. This is all about like teetering on that edge, like I said, going after what you want, and he's done it. He's doing it. He's in the midst and the throes of this during parenthood. And I actually asked him in this podcast, like, why did you choose to tackle this in your life when just like deep in parenthood, new babies, new young kids, etc. And His answer is really long. Mine was like, my personal thought, I guess, is it's just you cling on harder to who you are. Your time becomes, of course, we always talk about this, time is your most precious commodity. And when you have kids, you're giving so much of yourself to them. And it is beautiful and it's powerful. However, you need that alone time. You need you need to express yourself in some way. And Shaun, of course, does it through connecting to other people and hosting these amazing events, and he's making it work. And there are so many ways that it can work. So hopefully this will give you insight onto how you can hustle, how you can get in the hustle. It's not easy, let me tell you. It is not easy at all. I don't want to scare you. I'm just being honest. But it is possible. And the great thing about that is there are people doing it and they are proof. And you can reach out to them and you can look up to them and you can figure out how they're doing it. And the way they do it won't be the same way you do it. That's for sure. But they're showing you that something like this is possible for them. So it's darn right possible for you. Okay, I'm going to let you get inspired by this episode. Remember that we have a beautiful community where you can stay inspired and possibly be featured in our podcast. And as a member, Color Me Happy community, it is free to join. Check it out and sign up for our newsletter at brandyhofer.ca for weekly inspiration. And we make you feel good in the newsletter, basically, and in the community. It's a beautiful place. And of course, check out my amazing inspiring friend Shaun Newman and his SNP podcast if you're not already a listener. And you can, if you are his listener, and you might be if you're tuning in, he shares some secrets and the beginning, the foundation of where he started on this journey. Hi. Everyone needs to make an appearance every episode. This is what life at home is like.
You need to get a place where they can't wander in, although that's part of your brand. So,
yeah, I mean, I kind of like the fact that, if I have 15 free minutes, I'm just going to start because this is literally the way my life is. Sure. Everyone, this is Shaun Newman. He's a good pal of mine, and he has a fancy studio. You can see there behind you, SNP, Shaun Newman Podcast. He's a big deal. And I love what we talk about, especially don't touch my keyboard when it's really raw. So I just want to start now recording as soon as possible because it's more fun. Okay, so you have 3 kids. I have 3 kids. Life is
busy,
never boring. Correct. Okay, take this guy. No. Oh, my husband is done. He's done with the dough. Maybe go for a quick drive somewhere. Teddy really likes to be around me, and Finn's being a total asshole. That's how things are going with our lives. Literally, Teddy just like, oh, you're gonna fall down? Yeah. So tell everyone how old your kids are.
Okay, so first off, thanks for having me on. I'm always. There's
no room for introductions or pleasantries in this. By the way,
I chuckle that you say this. I got a fancy studio. It's a room. It's 11 by 11 or something like that. I don't know. So I make it look as fancy as possible. But my children are 5, 4, and 2. They all can be little assholes at different times, but true. Love them to death. And there's a reason why I don't have an at-home studio.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a reason why you pay for a space.
That's right.
No, it just like sometimes I know possibly in the future that I'll just need a bigger space. Like I'll need to scale up in general anyway.
But it's you.
This is me. I love the convenience of because I am at home full time, and the only way full-time parents get anything accomplished is when you do things in the tiny window allowances, and you kind of bounce.
We sent our kids to Grandma and Grandpa's for the weekend, And on Friday, when kids are gone, right? Mel and I are at home. You know what we do for the next 2.5 hours?
Probably look at videos on your phone of your kids.
No,
that's what we do.
We had this stack of laundry that had been growing, like clean laundry, like we'd washed and dried it, and it stayed not folded. So Mel and I put on a movie, and I just kept walking downstairs, getting a new basket and bringing it up and putting it on the couch. We'd fold it, pause the movie, go put it away, and do rinse and repeat for 2.5 hours. Neither of us were upset. It was so quiet and peaceful.
You could do it. That's the thing. You could it was like, we're just chilling out, but also folding laundry.
2.5 hours of it.
Yeah, it's and then actually something. It's an anomaly of how many we going to talk. Literally every time we meet, we get talking about laundry here.
I don't know. Isn't it everybody wants to talk about the kids and how cute and cuddly they are? What you don't realize is how much laundry they wear, or how much.
Well, you too, right? And then it's not just the laundry, but it's all the stuff. It's the towels.
You don't have a girl, Brandy. So my daughter, love her to bits. She's going to be an actress maybe in her future life. I don't know. But she will do a wardrobe change when she gets home 2 to 3 times before bed. That's like a 2-hour period. I'm like, but you don't need to do that. And so her laundry just keeps, but Dad, I want to wear that. I want to wear that. I want to wear that. I'm like, oh man, whatever.
At some point you're just like, you do you and leave me alone. And we'll figure this out later. You just kind of give up. There's a point, right? And I always laundry is a tough one because you're like, well, at least you go down to at least we have clothes to wear.
100%. It's a first world problem.
Too hard. But yeah, it's ongoing issue. And I have cleaners now because I can't keep up to it. But they don't touch the laundry.
Well, with Mel, she's now the VP of her school, right? So she's we're at a new stage of busy.
Yeah, and I bet.
And kids, as you know, once they get to that age where they can actually be in activities and be a part of sports teams and everything else, I'm looking at the schedule coming up. I'm like, holy God, I didn't realize they could be this busy.
Yeah, and how are we going to do it? But we will. And
that's right. I do archive interviews with community pillars, right?
Yes.
And I remember one of the guys who had 5 kids telling me, don't ask me about the 70s. I just don't remember them. And I was like, well, what happened in the 70s? He's like, my kids were under 10 and under. I had 5 of them. I just don't remember. And as this choo-choo train of my life starts to pick up speed, I'm like, his 70s are going to be my 20s, right? The 2020s here are going to be just a blur when I look back.
Yeah, it is so much to take on and absorb. And people say you're going to miss it. And I know they're right. I 100% know. Okay. We'll, I'm sure, talk about our kids more. But I asked you to come on because I just really find your whole journey really inspiring. And I don't want to go back too far, even though we do go back pretty far. We were buds in high school. And Jill Kelly, so she just came on. She was our first big member feature. And she's like, do you remember that I was on that Europe trip? I was like, I did not remember that you were there.
Did not know that either.
Yeah. But I definitely remember the Europe trip, and I'm sure many others do as well.
We made a long-lasting memory for part of Lloyd.
Yeah, the school system, the worst trip on record.
That's all we have to say about it, Brady. That's it. I didn't realize Jill Kelly was on that.
Yeah, she was probably the quiet, observant one, being like, those fuckers are so dumb.
I had a blast. I just want to make that clear.
I remember Alyssa. Sorry, Alyssa, if you listen to either of our podcasts or this podcast, I think it's her birthday today. Alyssa Pap got her name. I think I called her Lumberjack Pap at the time. She literally, I don't know what she was on or what she drank, but I remember seeing her in a tree from far from the hotel. And I'm like, what is she doing? And she literally, I don't know, thought she could fly or something. And she grabbed leap to another tree limb, and she just like straight on smacked into it and fell backwards onto the ground. Right now, where are all the teachers? Like, we were just like, it was like free reign. And like I said to Jill too, like, I'm like, I think this is a lot of kids' first time experiencing like freedom at all.
Longest inside joke running I think I've ever.
Is that the right word? Covert. I was like covert yes. Like yeah, I was very sneaky. But it was fun. Yes, it was. Yes, everyone's dropped off now.
Everybody wants to know what the hell we're talking about. Figure this out. Do you remember when you came on the podcast? Like the first,
2018?
No, it was 2019 for sure.
19? Like maybe January, February, episode 12 or something.
Your listeners have to hold on for a second here. Just bear with me as I find out what exactly it was. I'll scroll all the way back.
Okay.
Like I'm at.
That would be an important beginning episode into this one, mainly because I think we've both done some crazy shit since then, right?
Yes.
Like pretty
episode 23. We did it in the room you're sitting in. I brought everything there.
Yeah, you had a kit of gear.
July 3rd, 2019. That's when we did that.
Yeah.
And one of the things I remember you telling me was that if you stick with us, and I'm paraphrasing, that you never know. Maybe you'll be working over in Toronto or something like that. And I laughed at you.
Yeah, I said someone's going to pay you to come.
And I remember
that's how stuff works.
I'm like, right. That's the sure. I was like, I think that's wishful thinking. Well, it was a summer later. It was 2020, and I went out to Vancouver and Vancouver Island and interviewed Jim Pattison, who, I mean, in the business world in Canada, I mean, at one point in time, I think he's still top 5 richest, I believe. But at one point in time, he was one of the richest men in all of Canada. And if you drive to the West Coast, all you see is his name everywhere. Actually, if you drive around Lloyd, all you see is his name everywhere. And I laughed when I was going there because I should have sent you a text because I'm like, well, maybe Brandy isn't so far off.
I think you did text me. You were like, you'll never guess what I'm doing. And I was like, yeah, duh. And I think it's so funny because this happens to me too, but people see something in you that you don't see in yourself. And it kind of, and then you go in these directions and you're like, oh, yeah, duh. Like, of course. Like when the two women asked me to speak at the Inspiring Women's Conference in front of 300 to 500 women. And I was like, I don't public speak, so no.
And that's become a pretty big calling card for you, to be honest.
It's grown into something I'm extremely uncomfortable with, but you know what? I've gotten really comfortable with it, and my favorite part is making new friends. It's become, and I know you say this too, it's like it fills your social cup, right? Like,
yeah. Well, one of the, if I go back to March 2020, when this all kicked off, this pandemic and everything else, I was doing an episode a week at that point in time, and I bumped it to 2, and I got to the point where I got 3 in a week going, and I like overdid it, and I had to draw back to 2. But I've been doing 2 now a week for over a year. I guess it's closing.
Consistency, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is I didn't realize how much I needed human interaction besides like my family. Like I just need interesting people to talk to and like work through things. And it's been probably the most healthy thing I've done for my life, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I think, and tell me if you feel this way, but I think when it comes to having children, you kind of are grasping for a sense of self, you know, like this, I am a parent, but I'm also like this, and it's like a way of holding on to that. And you need something separate. You need something that's for you. And I have that with, of course, my artwork, but artwork is very independent. So need to connect to, there's not a ton, there's a lot of creatives here, but not specifically like female creators, ages 30 to 35. Like, so I made like, during this whole time, it's been kind of a gift because I made these amazing friends like that I'll have for the rest of my life. And I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah. Having children, as I'm sure all of your listeners can attest, because I believe you said at the start, right? Like this is a ton of women listening to you, right?
98%.
Right. So they can all attest. I mean, you lovely ladies have the children, right? I'm just the guy trying not to pass out beside the wife's bedside because that's an experience. But anyways,
scary. Yeah.
One of the things about having children that people can tell it to you, like you can hear it over and over again, even when you're pregnant, like leading up towards it. But like the weight of responsibility that comes with having a little person to look after is, I don't know, nothing can prepare for it. You just can't.
No.
And so once that happens, your other side of your life, if it doesn't shut down, then they suffer from it, right? So your life shuts down for a little bit and you go through all these different stages. Like we all know this, like that first, what is it? I don't know, 3 months is something else. Like it's just, and as you have more children, you come to expect it. It doesn't mean it's any easier. It's just like you're prepared for it. But the first time is like
prepared, but so unprepared. But
yeah, but I mean, like, how can you possibly go out and have coffee with people and human interactions with people when you have like a 2-day-old at home that you're trying to figure out? It's impossible to ask of anyone to like keep up their social life like that. And I think most parents, as time goes on, you got to find ways to balance it back out.
Yeah. And it's even when you do meet up with people, you're like, this is the worst. Why are we here with our children?
Well, see, no, you got to ditch the children.
You end up like chasing them around wherever you are.
That's gonna get better though, right? Like it's gonna get better.
It gets easier and easier. And the first little bit is tough, but it's honestly like just the most rewarding, amazing experiences of your whole entire life, and you just got to do it. And I think they'll just keep getting magical and hard all at the same time moving forward and so on. I want to go back to, so I want to know, and I'm sure some listeners would know, just like on the base of, starting something and seeing where you imagined it would go and then where it did go. And the fear factor that goes along with that. So what got you started? Like what was your like decision? What, do you know what I mean? Like what made you be like, well, start a podcast, that might be fun right when I have children?
So I don't know. I don't know which way to take this, philosophically or just like the way my brain thinks, but we'll start here. I would say I was just unhappy, right? Like, and I don't mean unhappy in my personal life. I just mean work side of life. I love my job. I still have it. But as far as like, getting up in the morning and being like, holy crap, I'm about to sit down with this person, it's never given me that, like ever. Like I've never, you got to go back to playing hockey when I was playing over in Finland, maybe, to where I was like, man, I can't believe I'm sitting here doing this. Even if I'm making, dog shit in money terms, this is still pretty crazy. And so
you're pumped to get up in the morning.
That's right. And so I've always been looking, I think, I don't want to like, this is why the philosophical part comes in, is like, I think there's millions and millions of people like all over North America. I'm sure the world as well. They're just unsatisfied. And so I'm still unsatisfied. Like I'm not doing this full time, and I hope to at some point. And like, so if you go back to 2018, I took a phone and I literally opened the the record app, and I just recorded a thought while I was in training at Calgary. It was just a simple, like, this is what I'm thinking of doing. I must have recorded it like 7 times because I couldn't get the thoughts come out. Like I was trying to explain it and then realizing I sounded stupid. So I just kept doing it. And I sent it off to 4 guys I'm in a book club with. And they all came back. And if they'd said it was crap, I would have been like, oh, wow, that sucks, right? But they all said, no, you should try it. And then you had, in our episode, you said something that really resonated with me because I said, does my voice suck? Because if you don't like listening to my voice, then I know it's not going to be a long-term thing. Because if it sucks, and you confirmed, no, like actually you have a good voice. Because I don't like listening myself. I hear
no one does. I have a hard time editing.
And so like the rest of it is, to me, is like, go listen to some people talk about business. I know I'm going to suck at the start. I may suck right now. I have like a little bit of thick skin that way, that I know I'm going to stumble. I know I'm going to do some terrible episodes. I know I'm going to do some great episodes. I know that I'm going to screw up with recording an episode and it's not going to come out the greatest. I know, like, I know sometimes the mics aren't going to sound great. Sometimes it's a learn. Like, you go back to the beginning. I got some episodes where I forgot to turn on a mic, right? Like, how do you do that? Like, it's because you're one person trying to figure out how to do a show and you've never done that before. And I have no training in it, no nothing. It's just like, I want to do this. And I understood from the very start how powerful consistency is whether we're talking, working out or, running a podcast. I just understand. And I say this all the time. I'm going to make some blunders. I make blunders all the time.
Well, you're human.
Yeah. And so that's what I continue to do. So that was probably my ability to understand how important consistency was, and to have thick enough skin to realize I'm never going to be perfect ever.
No.
And
I think you said that to me once in our first interview. You're like, I think you should have a podcast. I was like, there is no way. I make so many mistakes. And then you said, you can really only be yourself. And people can take it or leave it. And it's funny, I talk about you in my book too, that I'm writing, and that you said that to me. And it's true. There's a lid for every pot, and people can connect with what you're saying or they won't, and they just won't come back. And who cares? Right?
Where I'm currently at is very different from where I was at in episode 1 to episode 100 to 150. Like right now, I'm
200 and 12, something like that.
212, and then you got to stack on another 30 archives, so like 240 something.
That's nuts. But also, do you think consistency possibly comes from being an athlete and being, like building up that work ethic, sort of? Like, do you think that comes from there, or?
For sure,
takes discipline, and those things do take discipline. Like,
for sure, I think my background helped. I just think if you really want to do something, you want to become a painter, you want to write a book, you want whatever it is, because I mean, like, everybody's different. Like, I don't know how many people have reached out to me about starting a podcast, and I'm like, I think starting a podcast is super easy. I think, and I could be very wrong on this, so you can laugh at me when I say this, I think becoming a painter, my brain is super easy. Just start doing it and start learning about it.
No, exactly. That is the hardest step. You cannot
teach passion. So, like, I would be a crappy painter, not because maybe I couldn't learn the skills, because I literally wouldn't want to put in the time to do it. I just don't want to. No. I don't want to write a book. I'm a horrendous writer. Doesn't mean someday maybe I'll get a book. Oh, cool. But I'll probably be hiring somebody to do that, because
you could voice it and they'll write it all down for
that's you. That's right. To me,
in a good way.
Passion plays into consistency as much as your underlying skills, because I think you can learn consistency. You just need to have the right things there to push it along. Because no matter how tough the podcast has got, no matter how repetitive of like going in, editing, releasing, blah, 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 all the crap that nobody likes doing. I don't care who you are. Somebody out there maybe does, but not this guy. Like, I don't enjoy that part. It's never become work. And that's a crazy thing, because I'm a 2-year I was worried about the 2-year mark.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm a project guy. I like doing projects. So if you could throw me in, Bike for Breakfast is an exact example. I love coming in, giving you all my energy for like a month or 2 months. And where it ends is 2 years. This happens in jobs all the time to me. So the fact I'm still at my job, closing in on 5 years, the fact that the podcast now is closing in on 3 years means I've hit things that I enjoy, because normally at 2 years I burn out of pretty much everything I've ever done, minus hockey and podcasting and my current job.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear that. I obviously am the same. Like, I like to do like a multifaceted. Like, I like writing. I like painting. I like conversing, apparently. You know, so, and I think it's good because you're never bored. You're never bored because you're enjoying what you're doing, and you're doing it for a reason. And
I look at you and I just see a woman who has a brand and understands that. And I feel like if you can continue doing what you're doing consistently, I'm like, no doubt in my mind, Brandy Hofer will be, I don't know, in Spain painting murals if that's what she wants. Like, to me, it's
with
like
the crew, that'd be cool, and my family.
The hardest
like,
thing.
That'll cost like $20,000. I was like, or more. So someone needs to pay us to go.
The thing is like
Walmart will hire me again.
Did that ever come out?
To be honest, I don't know, because they're only 15 seconds, so they're like bloop, and then they're gone. And I have to message Nan was the agent or manager, I don't know what she was. I forgot to ask her. She said around this time it might, and I forgot.
I'll say this.
At least I used the photography, so that was cool.
When I watch you, I'm like, what always impresses me is your ability to like split. I call it splitting your brain. You've split it like 50 times is the way I look at it. And if it works, like if you can consistently do it and continue to do it, I'm like, I have no doubt you're going to be successful. I think, to me, I look at it, the challenge you have is the consistency of it.
It's honestly like throwing spaghetti at a wall. And I say that a lot, but it's seeing what sticks, and if it doesn't, you're like, okay. Like some of the, like, yeah. Although this year I threw so much spaghetti at the wall that too much is sticking right now, and that's kind of a problem. Although I can't say no to jobs, because there were a few months there where there were crickets. Like, I did all this work and I'm like, where is everybody? Why don't I have a mural job or whatever, right? And then now I've gotten too many jobs.
It's a good problem.
Yeah, it is a good problem, but like, I'm a yes man. Like, you know, the book Yes Man. I'm a yes man. Like, I can't say no. I want to, like, it's an adventure, and if you don't test it, you don't know.
Yeah, but right there, don't say there. You use a word that I don't like. Don't say can't. Like,
can't.
I'm not saying you got to say no to people. Like, if you want to do it,
no,
yes.
I can say no. It's like,
but never. I can't
kids,
say no, because like there's a few words that I try and erase from my dictionary of, you know, verbiage. Can't is one. Never is one. I'll never say never to anything.
Not again. Not after these last 2 years.
No, right? Like, even in the last, you know, like in the last month and a half, almost 2 months now, I've interviewed probably 5 to 8 doctors, a couple lawyers, police guy. Like, and go back to where I started. I was like local sports figures, an artist here, World War vet over there. Like, I don't know. To me,
but like, and just, can you name a few, like, you've interviewed some crazy people, and I had asked you, like, Don Cherry or Ron McLean or whatever, and in the hockey world, like, that's a big fucking deal. And like in a big deal in general. And I was like, how are you getting a hold of these guys? Well, I just call or email them. Just like, that is amazing.
Well, so The one I probably hang my hat on the most is Paul Bissonnette, but I still don't know how that happens. It's not for the older generation. Don Cherry and Ron McLean is absolutely the big names, but right now in the podcast hockey world, there's nobody bigger than Paul Bissonnette. But that was, I don't know, good energy. Like I don't know how the hell that happened, Brandy.
I read this book, and I know you like to read. Yeah, buddy. Okay. They just all want to. That's the problem, and it's not a problem because I know there's going to be an age where they don't want to be around me, so I try not to complain about it, but they really, really want to hang out with me all the time.
You're better than me. I go to a secluded room where nobody can bug me.
Yeah. Usually they're pretty good when I do a recording, but apparently there comes another one. Keep showing up, keep doing it, there is always room for that. Don't look back on the past and waste your energy and time like what if or why or just keep moving forward, and people will be attracted to that. People will be attracted to the fact that you're grateful for what you have, and things will just keep going and be amazing. And it's this, and he just has this what's this insane? There's balloons flying around his head.
When I envision of a commercial for the Brandy Hofer podcast is exactly what just happened there. The balloon goes flying off.
Shit. Okay. I can't hear, but can you hear me?
I can certainly hear it. Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
Teddy's unhooking me.
This is the greatest.
Totally.
This is motherhood at its finest. I'm trying to do a podcast.
We did a photo shoot. Yeah.
I'm trying to say something enlightening. You got your guest sitting here. I'm crying, laughing. This is awesome. Meanwhile, there's balloons going off. You got 3 kids all over you. This is great. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's special. Yeah, for the book cover, we did a shoot, and literally they're just, I think I have it as my podcast cover too. It's just them hanging off my face, basically. That's what it is. That's what my life is. I don't mind it. You know what? So I usually get to work 4 to 6 hours a day at home. I would say on my computer and in my studio. Oh, that's a good book. Let's read the book here. So I would say I get 4 to 6 hours a day, but it's not uninterrupted, and that's where the balance and the windows but I don't mind it because usually by hour 2 on my computer, I need a break, whether I take it or not. It's just healthy to walk away from, typing on your computer or doing up proposals or working on my website. I know it seems like I have some sort of hired team, but I don't. I have a studio manager who comes 1 day a week to help me with Amazon, which has nothing to do with social media or my website or anything else. And I just really like the fact that they make me go outside. I wouldn't be outside as much, and being outside, as we all know, is so good for you. Do you feel that way with your kids? They keep, even though it's chaotic, they keep this beautiful, fun balance, right?
My kids keep me moving.
Yeah.
Because every time I want to just God, I could just go for laying on the couch. I get dive bombed by one of them. And then it's let's go wrestle. Let's go do this. Let's go that. I think we can both agree. I'm not sitting here. I want to be laying on the couch the rest of my life. But right now, I'd take some coach time.
I'd take some coach time. I was sick 2 weeks ago or 3, and I got some coach time, and my whole house was totally trashed. Yeah. Day in the life. Something like that. I want you to describe the perfect day, in your mind, your perfect day.
The perfect day in the life of Shaun Newman. Now, yes. Okay, wait. Do you want it with kids or without kids?
No, it has to be your real life, what you would want. I would say let's go on. I don't want to answer your question for you, but if you close your eyes and think about what is important to you when you're 85 and how you could live your perfect way? Just like today for me, I would totally describe it like this. Yeah.
Well, then it's simple. It's with the kids. It's just in a scenario that allows them to thrive and not build animosity from, right? Like we both can agree, a perfect day isn't going to some fancy restaurant with 3 young kids. I don't know who wishes that
Sounds
upon
like my
anyone.
biggest nightmare.
Right. So it'd probably be at the farm somewhere. Going to like check cattle or something like that at the parents' farm, getting in the side by side and just going for a little drive. They love it. They act so good. They just like everybody's at their best because they don't have to be like quiet or, if they want to go throw a rock out in the pasture, give her, man. And so that's a good day, is when you build an activity that kids can be kids and not have to worry about being perfect. And that allows parents to just like, man, we're gonna, sip on a sarsaparilla and we're gonna enjoy the weather and
watch a sunset, something like that.
I would say a perfect day is in the summertime where I don't have to bundle them up in 80 layers. That's coming soon.
Right.
Not looking forward to that.
Worst.
But yeah, like to me, like I'm excited for this Friday, Brandy. This isn't all the kids, but Shay is in hockey. He was in intro last year, but it got cut short. So this is his first year of playing U7. And I'm coaching, which I'm terrified about because I've never coached before. But at the same time, I'm like really excited for it because, like that's going to be a cool experience for him. Hockey gave so much to my life, and now he gets to start his like journey in that. I'm excited to watch that grow.
Isn't that like one of the greatest gifts of kind of reliving your youth through your children? Like you get to just kind of do it again. You get a little bit of a do-over and experience it on another extraordinary level.
I never understood teachers, like how they could go into a classroom. My wife's, Mel, she's grade 1, grade 2. Now she's helping with kindergarten. Like that isn't my dream job whatsoever. I can imagine like dealing with little people.
Teachers are so special.
But then I told her about last winter, like watching Shay improve at skating and like getting better at it. And as he got better, you could see like he wanted to be out there more. I'm like, oh, that's like super cool. She goes, well, that's what teaching is, right? You get to see their improvement in like writing and reading and everything. And as they grow more confident, then they want to be there more. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And so I'm hoping coaching a bunch of 5 and 6 year olds, which normally would terrify me. I'm hoping in like a month's time, I'll be like, man, it's friggin' cool. Like these kids get it and they're like chomping at the bit to be out there and learn things. And I mean, that's fun to watch. And you'll get to see them grow right in front of your eyes. And one of them is going to be my son. So I'm like, yeah.
Especially at that level, like it's so obvious when they improve.
And
they go from Bambi to not.
And for like hockey players, like as you get older into like, I don't even know what all their terms are. It used to be bantam and midget, and now it's probably U17 and U whatever. But I mean, like you get into like tactics and like drills and skating and conditioning and all these things that make the game what it is, and it's awesome. But at a U7 age, it's like, okay, guys, we're gonna stand up. We're gonna skate over here. And now we're going to play a game because we need to keep it light for you, right?
British Bulldog, like, let's go.
Right. It's like super innocent and at the same time trying to teach them some things. And to me, that like I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know about being in front of a group of 5 and 6 year olds, how that's going to go, but I'm looking forward to it.
I think you'll really excel. I think it'll be you'll surprise yourself at what will come out. Do you know what I mean? Like you'll be there and all this stuff. We'll just be like kind of like thrilling and I think you'll connect and do amazing.
I hope so.
I said yes to one spaghetti thing recently, and that was working with kids too. And I'm just like, it's probably going to be one of the most important things I ever do in my whole entire life. I should probably say yes. So I did. So we'll see. Wish me luck. But
I wish you luck.
Just because I don't have like a signed contract yet or anything, but I'm I think I'll be walking to school twice a week with my kids next year. So that's something. But yeah, like if you think back to being a kid yourself and what moments stood out and what people stood out in those moments, then you think of you being one of those people for those kids, and you're like, I have to. I could actually impact someone's life, right? So
all
I got to step up.
all my mentors in hockey always said the same thing, and now I'm a slow learner. I'm slowly starting to understand what they mean, and it was pretty blatant what they meant. I just didn't at the time get it, but they said, the game's given you so much, it's your turn to give back to the game. I mean, that's a hockey player mantra, or kind of lesson to be learned as you get older through it. And it's funny, my parents, specifically my mother, had to prod me into playing competitive hockey after high school.
Really?
Like I
maybe
didn't want to go.
Saw it. She saw it in you.
Well, guaranteed. I say this story all the time. When I was like 16, 17, somewhere in there was these MVP camps, okay? And all they was you paid money to go get scouted. So the scouts would all come to a central location, and then they could watch you play. And then maybe they'd invite you to a team camp, right? And whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And these always happened on a weekend, of course. And did I at 17 or 16, whatever it was, want to be going somewhere on the weekend? No. But she dragged me there. And once she got me to the rink, I loved it. Like, I love playing hockey. Everybody can see that now after what I've done. It became my life. And I must have said some pretty nasty stuff back then. Like, I just know I must have. And parents have thick skin, or must.
Yeah.
She'd just throw me in the vehicle and you were gone and you had no choice. And then she'd get you there and you go play and you'd love it. And, look at what it led to. I just took a step back, and it led to me going around the world and playing hockey. I mean, did I make the NHL? No. Did I make $1 million? Not even close. But it did influence the rest of my life. Just my wife alone came from that, right? So
yes, yeah, and that's the thing. If you see that and when I said going anywhere, I did not mean the NHL. I mean going anywhere is like a life's passion, like for you, right? Like she probably saw that, like that energy that you had at the rink, and how you probably came off like super happy, and she noticed, like, parents have that special gift. So yeah, I just, it's quite the elitist. It is a bit like it's just
expensive.
Any sport is.
But I'm being rough on hockey, right? Like parents talk about dance and gymnastics as being just as crazy, right? So like
it is.
It's not like it's only that sport. It's like if you want to play that sport at the top level, it is expensive. But I mean, we could probably extrapolate that to a lot of sports
or activities in general.
Or activities. That's right.
But I'm a full believer too that, like, and this is just a whole nother conversation, that kids don't have to be in all the stuff. Like, just, you got to let them kind of be kids too, right? Like, genuinely get bored and play with sticks and mud in a dugout, which I have fallen on all summer. I send them out to the farm and I'm just like, you're going there. And they're like, we don't want to go. And I'm like, you're going because you don't get this. You don't get bored at home because there's all this stuff around.
Yeah.
But like, they literally just spend hours like building stuff with their grandpa, and just that organic connecting with the earth and connecting with themselves. And I just think, like, at the end of the day, that should be number one. And I think it's kind of forgotten about because everyone's like, yeah, they should be in this, and like, when do they get to just like fuck around? And like, they just,
I agree.
Yeah. It's just that connection to nature, and just like that pause, and not even us as adults even get that anymore enough. And again, another thing I love about kicking it with kids, they make me go to the woods and stuff. Although I go run in the woods. And thank you, Mom, and Auntie Anna for making me do cross-country running. Like, it really all is all for a reason. And kind of when you get to reflect back, you're like, oh, yeah, that's worked out for me. Thank you. Okay, Shaun, thank you again.
Thanks, Brandy. I appreciate you having me on. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Talk soon, friend. Bye.
There you go. Proof is in the pudding, one can say. When you show up consistently for something, amazing, wonderful things can happen. And Shaun is proof of that. He showed up consistently in the way of podcasting and doing some amazing, extraordinary things, actually really crazy stuff since this interview, which was kind of neat that it's old because we get to look back at what he's accomplished since then. I can tell you that he raised over $300,000 for our local and surrounding areas, school systems, Bike for Breakfast. So that's food for children who don't have food in the morning, obviously, or a breakfast program. That's what it is. There we go. Got it. Yes. So if you show up, and I love Atomic Habits. That's a great book too, or actually my own book. We talk about consistency is key, routine, and it doesn't have to be crazy. So I'm not talking about Atomic Habits. I'm actually talking about my own book. So he talks about it in the way of like growing subscribers, etc. And I'm assuming that's the way it worked for Shaun with listeners, because podcast listeners are like very dedicated. They're a great audience. So thank you, listener. You're a dedicated member of my audience. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. So in my book, I talk about routine and consistency, because when you have these things in your life and how to feel good, essentially. So the building blocks of who you are. Hey, buddy. Oh, Teddy has croup. Poor little baby. Had to give him a snack, put on a show for him. Okay, so speaking of like the foundations of who we are, and when I talk about that's where you start. You start with your self-care, your manifesting your gratitude, all of those things, these routines that you can get into, these healthy routines about life. That is how, like, that's where you have to start. You can't just like jump past all those things, right? Because when you do that, when you have that great energy for yourself, you loving yourself, a consistent practice for taking care and loving yourself, then you have a full cup. You have something to give from. You have a cup to pour from, right? And that enables you to see your everyday ordinary as extraordinary, because when you do that, then you can accomplish and manifest your dreams, and you can overcome these fears and become this person who you wanted to be, who you never even thought things that happened to you never thought were even possible or part of your world's realm. And Shaun is such a example of that. And we have to also give credit to our community, like the things that we can accomplish here. It goes along with a lot of community work and extraordinary, amazing, supportive individuals who work collectively for the greater good of our community, and it is quite spectacular. And gosh, thank you everyone. It's been a beautiful journey, and thank you for tuning in today and giving this a listen, even though it's an old archive. Scratched out find. I actually wanted to feature it because I didn't want to just because it was a lot of time and it was around supper time, so our kids were like, ooh, his kids, he has a studio. I need to get one. I need to get an exterior studio, and I will. It's on my like vision board for the near future. For the 5-year future, vision boarding that for myself. It'll happen, and it'll happen in a way that I will not expect. I know that. So why I wanted to release this is because I'm actually going on Shaun's podcast next week. We were talking about our book, my book, not me and Shaun's book. We did not write a book together. I'm talking about my book and our really big community project, our Choose Love, Join Hands and Choose Love and Choose Love and Join Hands? That's right. Choose Love and Join... What did we title it? What did I title it? Choose Love and Join Hands and Truth and Reconciliation Project, which if you've listened to the past episodes, you've heard all about. It's very special. You can check that out on our YouTube channel as well. We have a Color Me Happy YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that, find out what we're doing. We release all these videos on there. Of course, they're available through Spotify as well. But it's like... it goes beyond words. It goes beyond words in a way that if this is the least I can do to give back to a beautiful community and culture in my country. And it's powerful and meaningful, and never thought I would be lucky enough to be here to do something like this, of this magnitude. And I always think about, my mom's just got to be a part of it, a part of this. She'd be so proud. Wish I could talk to her about it all the time. And I the women who are a part of it are very, very amazing women in our community, and I couldn't be prouder to be a part of it with them. So check that out on YouTube. Again, you are and join our community. We talk about it there. It is a beautiful place to be a part of our Color Me Happy community with extraordinary women and people. And I get to interview them all the time. I interviewed 2 amazing women yesterday. This is just, I'm sitting in my dreams, just living in the clouds here in my in-home studio in the quiet Canadian prairies in Canada. And it's pretty cool what you can do in a little place with a population of 30,000. And it is little because someone called I interviewed someone yesterday, and they're like, yeah, my small town, 200,000. I was like, we have no, maybe in the States, like, it's just, there's so many more people per capita, right? Maybe, I don't know. Gotten to a place where I don't know the answers. Anyway, thank you for being here, my friend. I sure do appreciate your time. You can, I'll just stop now. Okay. Oh, sponsors. Oh, I love my sponsors. Nouveau Laser and Aesthetic Center. They make me feel so good inside and out. And on my journey of when we talk about self-care and the foundation of loving ourselves and who we are, and taking that time to appreciate who we are and what we can do in our everyday. They have been a part of my journey in that. And Red Bicycle Communications, they also such a support and a great group of people. And Oasis Hot Yoga and Spin Studio, that's where you can go, and just, that is time for you to sit and in yourself and find yourself and quiet your mind. It is truly an oasis. Thanks for being here, friend. Have an amazing whenever you're listening. I always have trouble with that. Have an amazing, it could be night, day, weekend, weekday. That's why my brain always pauses. So if you have a great sign out for me, I sure could use one. I can tell you, because as you know, I hate saying goodbye. I will sing it to you goodbye. If you're looking for some time for yourself to relax, release, and unwind, Oasis has the perfect space for you. They offer yoga and spin classes of all levels. Whether you are a beginner or advanced student, Oasis thrives on accommodating all aspects of the practice. Let their serene environment and gracious staff help you in your journey of peace, healing, and strength. Sign up online at www.oasishotyogastudio.com or by downloading the Oasis Hot Yoga Studio app. Feel like yourself. You deserve it.